Good afternoon. I want to thank all of you for coming here today for a press conference that we should not have had to have, but because we had 3 lives taken from us last night, we thought it was necessary to not only address their sympathy or address their pain with sympathy, but also to address the public. Last night was a terrible situation. It was tragic. It's something that cannot be excused, nor should it be. People working their jobs in their community, trying to make it day to day, week to week, should not be preyed upon, should not be targeted. And that's what we had last night. And 2 family members, as well as a person there just doing a little shopping and talking to those that work there, was caught in the crossfire. That's something that's, in my mind, excusable for people to try to target a group who are trying to work to improve their lives and that of their family by people who are coming to steal and take their money. It's something that we will not accept. It's something that we will not tolerate. We will make sure that what took place last night on Troy Highway does not happen again. We'll make sure that those who are behind this are held accountable and are brought to justice. It doesn't matter the time, it doesn't matter the place, or how much money it costs. State, local, and federal resources are already in play, and we will use every measure that we have and every tool that we have to find out not only who did that last night, those that committed this homicide that cost 3 lives, but those who have been targeting Latino and Hispanic businesses all across this community. That will not be accepted. And we want the public to know, and in particular those in our Latino and Hispanic communities, to understand that we see you, we hear you, and we're not going to stand for this. We're not going to stand for people to be hunted because people think they're an easy target or they're easy prey. Easy being the hunter. It's different when you're being hunted, and that's what they are being right now. And so we're going to make sure that not only we address this issue, but we address other issues that are going on in this community, and we will utilize all the tactics necessary and bring all the force of not only this police department, but our law enforcement community down on the heads who have been causing a lot of the issues in this city and in this region. So again, I just want to thank the members of the public for assisting us in this, providing information to our police department. I want to thank all the men and women in the Montgomery Police Department for their assistance, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency and others for assisting every way that they could. But most importantly, I want to offer condolences on behalf of myself and my family and everyone in the city of Montgomery, and everyone, I believe, speaking for our community, to the families of those that were lost in last night's homicide, and certainly those who will endure that pain of losing a loved one in the situation that we had last night. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Hall to bring in any details on this matter, and then we will proceed from there. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm John Hall, the Acting Chief of Police for the City of Montgomery. And on Tuesday, June 4th at about 8:55, the Montgomery Police Department and Montgomery Fire Rescue responded to the 4100 block of Troy Highway in reference to subjects that had been shot. When we arrived on there, George Elijah Jr., 50 years old, and Daniel Lopez, 20 years old, had both sustained fatal gunshot wounds and were deceased on the scene. Romario Lopez, 43, and all these are from Montgomery, sustained a life-threatening gunshot wound, and he was transported to the local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Right now, our detectives are diligently working on identifying the subjects involved in these cases. When I say these cases, because there's other cases, as the mayor spoke of, beyond this homicide, and what the relationship is to each other in those crimes. We're also using the National Integrated Ballistic Information, we refer to that as NIBIN, to try and link the weapons used in this crime along with any other crimes, video evidence and witnesses to link these crimes together. As of now, we've already adjusted the times of certain groups of officers that are working. These groups have been adjusted according to when we see these are occurring to specifically combat these robberies and these violent crimes. We've already put together an additional detail of officers beyond those adjustments, again focusing on the robberies and the violent crimes occurring here in Montgomery. As these crimes have been continuing, we have been in consultation with the FBI in reference to these cases because of the business robberies, and they're working with us in this case, and we're focusing on the Hobbs Act in reference to the commerce being interfered with through these robberies. So once they're identified, we're going to seek the most stringent justice that we can, and right now that most stringent justice is going to be on the federal side through the federal court system, so that's what we're going to focus on to get them off the streets. The ultimate goal of the Montgomery Police Department and our local federal partners is to create a safer Montgomery for the citizens and visitors here. We will continue to be vigilant in our fight against crime while exploring all avenues of bringing suspects to justice.
De parte del alcalde de la ciudad y el departamento de policía, ellos quieren afirmarle a todos los hispanos en este momento, todos los hispanos, que entiendan que estas situaciones que están pasando, ellos están diligentemente trabajando tanto con el departamento federal como con el departamento de la ciudad, y esto no se va a dejar pasar por despercibido. Directamente queremos dejarle saber que usted tenga la libertad de poder informar cualquier situación que usted ha visto sin pensar que no se le va a poner la atención. A toda persona que sabe algo de este crimen que ha pasado, déjenos saber, porque en verdad ellos quieren trabajar con este asunto y están diligentemente trabajándolo. Así que no tenga miedo de su estado inmigrante y nada de ese estilo, porque en ese caso no es que se está bregando. Lo que queremos es buscar los que han hecho, los culpables de estos ataques que se están haciendo a la comunidad hispana. Y vamos a encontrarlo, y por seguro su tiempo le va a llegar. Así que queremos advertir a la comunidad hispana, dejarles saber que estamos aquí para ayudarlos. De mi parte, queremos también darle la consolación a los familiares de estas personas que han pasado por esta situación. E inclusive yo conocí uno de ellos y lo conocí muy bien, y estoy herido por esa situación, ¿sabe? Todo el mundo está sufriendo sobre esto, y definitivamente estamos, ¿verdad?, teniendo ese miedo, pero no tenga miedo, estamos trabajando en el asunto. ¿Okay? Eso es lo que queríamos dejarles saber.
Thank you. At this time, if there are any questions from the press, we'll take them.
Mayor,
Yes,
the Spanish-speaking community says they feel neglected. Mm-hmm. What has the city done prior to today to address this rash of robberies at Hispanic businesses?
Well, one, I understand why they feel that way. Certainly understand they're feeling their frustration. They feel like they're being targeted. We believe that has been the case as well. And we believe that we're narrowing down who's behind it. And so from our standpoint, what we've tried to do is adjust our tactics and adjust our approach, but also to use some of those in our community who are credible messengers to try to share best practices around cash handling, around some business operational principles, as well as obviously just safety principles as well, making sure that we reached out to some of the areas, apartments where they're living, and trying to talk to other members of the community, as well as pastors and others that are assisting our police department, but also assist us in many endeavors just across the city, making sure that we were trying to get that information out, no different than we would any other information around the city itself. And Chief, if there's some things you want to like to speak to, you can speak to that as well.
Yes. The only thing I'll touch on further is when part of community policing, we actually have officers that are certified in business assessments, and we've been sending those out to businesses that have been targeted, again, as the mayor stated, trying to help with better business practices for those businesses and what they could do to help make themselves safer. That's something we do for free, and we could continue to do that. So any business that needs that or feels they need that will absolutely call us, and we will get someone out there and conduct that, and then provide you the business in writing what we feel they can do better to improve the safety around that business.
And I want to speak to one other part of that as well. Again, to target any group of citizens based on their race, based on their culture or background, to me is reprehensible. And that's what we've seen here, in my opinion. And there are people who believe that those who may not speak English as a first language are easy targets, and that's the most sickening part of this, is they look at those that are looking out for their families and extended families and loved ones to try to take advantage of people who are working hard and here to try to make a better life. And if we had more of that, then we wouldn't have some of the issues that we've been discussing here for the last several weeks in the community. So I know there's more that we can do to get the word out to the apartment complexes, some of their residential communities. We're looking at what some other cities have done very recently to address this issue as well, and seeing how we can do more even from City Hall, so it's not just on the police department or our public schools or just on even some of our churches, but that we can all play a much stronger role in making sure that they're safe and making sure that they understand how to get help and how to do things that will help keep them and their family members safer from some of the bad actors who are out in our community right now.
You were out at that scene last night. Why did you feel called to go out there? And I saw you speaking eye to eye with some folks out there. What was your message? What did you say to them?
Well, one, we just, apologize for that happening and just extending sympathy to those family members that were there, that had their whole lives changed in a moment. I felt called to go because we had just come from a city council meeting. We had talked about how to improve community violence intervention, great things that our police department is doing around raises and supporting them, and things we want to do for the community. So I think to have that, happen so soon was kind of like a brick being thrown through a window. And, for me, it brought back memories, if you will. Obviously not to that level, but when you have a business owner, a small business owner, I appreciate the grit. I appreciate the work that you have to put in when you're running your own business. And to have a family member there working it with you and lost in that scenario just felt different. It just felt like something that should not happen when people are just trying to do the best they can and earn a hard day's work, living from that, and just earn it the right way. And that's why we went. And I think anytime something that tragic happens, it just kind of startles you and it wakes you up even more so when you think that you're already aware of what's happening. So that's why we went. And I think that the other part, too, is I just don't like people being preyed on. I mean, I don't like people being picked on, and that's what it felt like to me, and it ended in the most tragic and most horrific situation that we can imagine. That's the loss of life.
Chief Hall, do you think this is the same group targeting all these businesses, or could it be different groups?
Right now, I'm going to say that's all under investigation, so I'll just need to let you know that's under investigation, so I really can't discuss that aspect of it right now.
Is there any other reason other than race that you could see these Hispanic businesses being targeted?
Well, we think that, sure, there are business practices that, some may not have the same level of financial access to a bank, a financial institution, to make sure they aren't carrying an inordinate amount of currency on them. And so the thieves, the robbers, believe that it's an easy hit, and that you may get a little bit more there, or actually a lot more there than you might with someone who may have an established bank account, or one with a credit union, or some type of other financial institution. And I think because of those things, and because there's a belief that they may not be as willing to cooperate with our police department, that they may get away. But these people will not get away at all.
Chief, there is a perception that immigrants are less likely to report crimes, so there may be many more out there that police are not aware of. How important is it that all of those crimes are reported to police?
Well, it's extremely important. As like I say, in this case, this is an overall investigation, not just in this homicide, but in the other stuff that's going on as well. So what other stuff is not going on? So it's extremely important. That one little thing that might be, they didn't tell us, that one piece that we need to tie everything together and bring these people to justice. And then as long as they're telling us, it gives us an opportunity to know more information, more data, so that I could put officers in the right spot. People may think that, well, I was just a block away. Well, when it comes to putting out resources, that block is huge. What does the officer see? What are they doing on the streets? They don't see that next block over. So it's extremely important that when we're getting this information, we have all the information. So we ask that you call us, let us come in, let us do these police reports. We're not going to do anything except that police report. We're going to make sure that citizen is taken care of, because at that moment they're a victim. And they're going to continue to be a victim until we bring these people to justice. And then they can start their healing process. And that's just as important as the rest of it. So we implore anyone that's a victim of a crime to call us, let us come out there, let us get this report so we can properly investigate it and bring these individuals to justice.
Mayor Reed, speaking more broadly, are there any legislative fixes to these types of targeted incidents that lawmakers could consider next year?
I don't know. We haven't looked into that. Chief just mentioned looking at federal charges for them based on this type of crime. I think certainly that's strong in itself. I think we have the legislation in this case that we would want once we apprehend these individuals. But we're always looking for ways to make some of these laws stronger and to give them a little bit more strength in terms of making sure that people who are repeat violent offenders are put where they belong. Yes.
Chief Hall, you used the word citizen. For people who might be undocumented, what is the process like for them? I mean, are they as safe as other people who are documented in this country?
When it comes to the Montgomery Police Department, yes, ma'am, they are. If they're a victim, they're a victim. I've classified them as a citizen of Montgomery. I don't look at any other thing, so that's what they are. They're a citizen of Montgomery, they're a victim, and I need their information so that we can properly go after the people that are actually targeting them. So that's what we need at this point.
Is there any reward connected to this case this time?
There's not at this time, but there will be. So we're putting that together. Councilman Rondé Mitchell is leading that effort, and we'll have that announcement along with Crime Stoppers coming shortly.
Mayor Reed, you ran on being a mayor for all the people. What's your message to those people, personal persons that are involved with this?
Well, again, for the family members, we offer our condolences to them, and we will certainly lift them up in prayer. We want to make sure that they know that not only the city of Montgomery, but our entire community is with them in their loss, shares their pain for something so senseless as people working hard and someone else being there working hard and just stopping by to say hello to some people that they work with, as well as to purchase a few goods. The main message, for us is that we've got to continue to make this community safer. We've got to continue to work not only with our police department and law enforcement community, but also our community at large on ideas and ways that we can do that. And we're going to continue to focus on supporting them and providing those resources, and we'll continue to change our approaches until we find the right mix. and sometimes that takes a little bit. The main thing is we're collaborating and we're communicating with other law enforcement organizations. They are assisting us as we are assisting them, and we all want to bring about a safer city and a safer community and region at large, regardless of where you live. Your life is important and your safety is important, and that's what we want to make sure we communicate to those in particular that have been robbed recently, and especially those in our Latino and Hispanic community.
I'm gonna be able to say.
Yes.
I spoke in Spanish in the beginning because I was trying to let the Hispanics, the ones that don't speak English, but what we want all the Hispanics to know is that as a community, the police department, along with Mayor Reed, they do care, and we are working hard on trying to get these people that are doing these damages. We want them to understand that they should feel free to be able and give information on everything they have without worrying about their immigration status. That is not what's being dealt with here. We want them to have that freedom and understanding. That's not the case here. We want them to speak, come and give the information that they have without that fear. Just today, we met with some Hispanics, and we're trying to create some type of orientation. We're going to try to get together and bring them all together to talk to them and give them some information on these things so that they can feel free. They can have that freedom to come and talk with some of them. We know that some of them are afraid because of that. And on the other hand, we want to urge them also not to take the law into their own hands, to let the police work and let the police do what they're doing. They do know what they're doing, and they do want to try and help. So we just want to get that message out there. And that's what I was trying to explain in Spanish before. So the ones that don't understand English.
Thank you so much.
¿Puedo preguntar algo en español, si usted me entiende?
Claro.
Como hispano, ¿cómo yo me siento protegido si tarda más de 40 a una hora para llegar al lugar del hecho?
Well, you want me to say that to you and you answer?
Translate, yes.
Or you want me,
Well,
okay.
the question was, from the media, the question was, how can the Latino community feel safe when they've reported some stuff and then either media doesn't report to it, or it takes like 40 to 50 minutes for an officer to get there. So it kind of makes the Latino community feel like they don't have an option but to take things into their own hands because it's life or death situation for a lot of the break-ins. A lot of break-ins have been happening throughout this month itself. A lot of them the press has no idea of. It didn't reach any news articles, so the Latino community just wants to know what can they do, or what's the plan to be heard, or what can they do on their end since they're not seeing any. It kind of had to get to a point, to this point, for us to have some type of communication on what we can do to protect the Latino community.
Unfortunately, what you're talking about is not just for Latino community. We're experiencing that throughout the entire city. I'm working with the director at communications, trying to do everything that we can to speed up those calls. Because the way it works is those calls go to the communications center at 911, and then they get dispatched to the police officers. We don't have any idea what calls coming in when we're responding, and we get those officers there as quickly as we can. And one of the best ways to combat that is what we were saying before, is give as much information as you can when it's being called in, because at the call center, those calls are prioritized. So if we have something violent going out and we have a crime not in progress going out, well, that violent crime is going to be moved in front of that crime to be for a dispatch to an officer. So if it's not complete information coming in, the dispatcher doesn't know that, and they just put it right in line where it's supposed to be. So it's important that we get all the information as quickly as we can to those dispatchers so they can properly prioritize those calls, and then we can properly dispatch the officers to those calls.
If you want to translate that.
Spanish, obviously.
Yes, Spanish.
Bueno, entonces lo que ellos están diciendo es que en todo tiempo no es depende de cómo de serio es el caso. Según la seriedad del caso es que ellos entonces ponen al frente, ¿verdad? la llamada. Sí, la llamada.
Ayer fueron 2 llamadas y no respondieron hasta la segunda llamada, cuando ya las personas estaban muertas.
Bueno,
Porque es el coraje entre latinos de por qué está pasando esto. Porque ya nos sentimos nosotros protegidos, que ustedes son los que tienen que actuar.
¿En qué tiempo esas 2
llamadas tuvieron que hacer para que la policía llegara?
Bueno, según el video que yo vi, se tardaron 5 minutos. Según un video que yo vi.
Es que siempre no va a saber lo que es.
So what he's saying is that they had to make 2 calls yesterday. before anybody came to, at least 2 calls. And that's what they fear, that length of time.
I don't have an answer for that. What I will do is have that research and find out what happened.
Él dice que van a mirar para ver qué fue lo que pasó en ese caso.
Mayor, is there a liaison for the city to the Hispanic community, or is that something you're considering?
No, we already have a liaison for the Hispanic community. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the 6-pack.